Good evening. Tonight's lecture is entitled Einstein's New Theory of Gravity. Any and all interactions on heaven and on earth, which includes trains, planes, and exploding stars, could be all explained with the four fundamental forces in the universe. These four forces are, firstly, gravity. The second fundamental force is electromagnetism. The third and fourth are nuclear forces, the weak forces, which accounts for radioactivity in cobalt, uranium, and then finally, the strong nuclear forces, which are the forces which hold protons and neutrons together very, very tightly. And if they are split, fissioned, then you have, of course, atomic energy. Now, of the four forces, the odd child is gravity. Because although gravity is millions of times weaker than the other three forces, on the other hand, it's significant for large objects. The gravity on the sun, given that you could stand the temperature, is huge. The gravity on Earth is large. And even for objects as big as me, or as small as me, gravity is significant. Now, I can walk in the X direction, the Y direction, but I cannot go in the Z direction unless I possibly can hop a little bit.
I have no problem with the z-axis.
Well, my beautiful aerialist is actually not weightless, but Marilyn Monroe is weightless. Well, not for very long, a fraction of a second. She was obviously on a trampoline, and the photographer caught her just at the apex of her jump. But weightlessness is really very important in order to train astronauts to be living in shuttles and space stations. And so normally what they do, they'll take an astronaut dressed fully in all the suits and boots and helmets, put a buoyancy compensation vest built into the suit, and put them into a huge swimming pool where they're all floating around at 0 G with a module which they're trying to assemble and disassemble. Another creative way of creating 0 G or low G is by using what's called a vomit comet, which was originally a KC-135 military plane. And you take a group of people, all with pads in the compartments, and the plane literally falls out of the sky. And for 25 seconds, it is weightless. And you can see the people moving around, apples floating around, magazines floating around. They're doing somersaults. It's absolutely a ball. Now, one of the greatest scientists we've had of the last century and of this century is Stephen Hawking, a theoretical physicist who's been confined to a wheelchair. What a kick it would be to be able to shed his wheelchair, if only for 25 seconds. And so recently he was in a vomit comet, and you see him now floating for the first time absolutely effortlessly. Now, Hawking is a real scientist, but he's playful. And one of his favorite TV programs is Star Trek. And Star Trek invited him to one of their episodes, and now you can see him sitting at a table in the Enterprise, along with Newton with the long wig, Einstein with the bushy hair, and then Hawking. It was sort of a life dream.